been invited to talk about capitalizing on plastic waste in Norway, and I saw in the program that you had Lars Brede talking about producer responsibility yesterday. I will be representing my business, Norwegian Plastic Recycling, who is a recycling business working within the field of plastics from industry. Just a brief introduction of myself. My name is Helene Lindberg. I am a graduate from the Norwegian University of Life Sciences in 2017 in mechanical engineering and product development. Right now, I'm the head of R&D in our business. I work with research and development processes in-house, project administration for projects that we have both internally and with collaborating businesses and research associations. And I also handle a lot of internal and external information, like presenting like this. So my work days are both in yellow vests and helmets and on big stages. And I've been fortunate enough to travel a bit. In December of 2019, I was in Indonesia with the Waste Association of Norway and Innovation Norway, visiting some of the waste handling parts of society. So this is a picture from the waste management facility for Jakarta called Bantar Gebang. As you see, there's a lot of mixed waste and the heaps are huge. And as Carl mentioned, that it was interesting to look at how different nations and different regions handle waste and plastic waste in particular. This is what we are used to seeing from this part of the world, and also horrific pictures of plastic waste in water, of course. But also we have our problems in Norway. The pictures on the right are from the fish farming industry. Top right is fish farming cages. Down at the right side, there's also fish farming cages and feeding tubes dragged on shore. And on the left side, there's a very representative photo of heaps of plastics lying around the waste management facilities in Norway. Of course, we like to think of ourselves as a nation that's in front within the field of plastics. Concerning collection, yes. Concerning producer responsibility, yes. Concerning recycling of PET bottles with Tomra pump system, yes, but within industrial waste and more complex plastic waste, we are not as good as we would like to be, and it's not very well communicated. So I'm sorry to break it to you. I guess that you are all quite interested within this field already, so some of you might know this, but it's not very accessible information. We would like to present that we are very good at plastic recycling, but not much of the plastic recycling is happening in Norway. We are good at collecting, do some sorting, but the recycling has not traditionally been done within the borders of this country. We've been exporting a lot to European and Asian countries, especially. So the plastic waste in Norway, the latest statistics from Statistics Norway say that about 20% of it is from households and 80% of it is from industry. And on the right side, we have an upside down pyramid that we use to illustrate the waste management. So on the top, there is waste prevention. The blue part is using things again. The dark blue part is material recycling. The light green one is energy recycling, or yes, energy energy recycling, and the orange one is landfills. So as we see, most of the waste is recycled for energy. That means that we burn it. Some of it is sent for material recycling, and these figures show what waste is sent for material recycling. That does not mean that 113,000 tons have been recycled. It means that we send it to other facilities that will recycle as much of it as they can. That's how the statistics are collected in Norway. That will change with some EU changes coming now. And also we see that 18,000 tons of plastics, because these figures are plastics specifically. So 18,000 tons are also put in landfills. That's huge numbers compared to what could be done and the values of this. So now to my facility. This is where I am located. I sit right now in a building in the middle of the picture. At our waste management facility, we are about 30 people. We handle about 15,000 tons of waste yearly. And that is all going through the company on top on the right side, Container Service Øyangen, who's handling and collecting all the waste. Then we have Norwegian Plastic Recycling, who recycles a portion of the plastic waste. And then we have Viking Øyangen, who collects boats for waste management. And this is where our customer base is. For collection, there's the, and this picture is for plastics only. So the blue dots are where we collect plastics. We go out with our mobile grinder, or we go out with trucks and collect plastics all through Norway almost. Only the southwest part is not within our scope. And our recipients of recycled plastics or plastics ready for recycling are, as you can see, further south. And there's a few of them in Norway, but if I put the amounts that we send to each location in this picture as well, we would see that lots and lots of it go to the European customers. There's not much going to the Norwegian producers of plastics. My location is a blue dot that's not really very visible, but it's on the height of the Sweden name. So that's on the coastline where I am located. So this is the shredder that Container Service Øyangen goes out with. We transport it on the truck, and they bring their own excavator and equipment, and we shred the plastics, hard plastics, at the customer locations. And our customers are mostly aquaculture industry, fish farming, but also other waste management facilities that don't have this equipment. We offer this as a customer service. They are very happy to order our services for that, and also that is very important tracking information for us. Our people are skilled in sorting plastics and handling it correctly, and then we know that the correct type of plastics is within the bag of processed waste when it comes to us. And that has a lot to do with the quality of the plastics and also the price of the plastics. So our focus fractions are within plastics are these. This is the main categories that comes in through Container Service Øyangen. And on the left side, you see the fractions that we recycle ourselves. It's mostly fish farming cages, ropes, tubes and pipes, and waste bins that we recycle ourselves. And the other parts we collect, process, and send to other recycling facilities. And traditional waste processing looks like this. It comes in through boats or trucks. It's stored here and we process it, shredding or compressing or and of course sorting, and then it's transported again. When it's transported to other locations, it also goes out by boat or truck. But when we can recycle it ourselves, there's of course a very small transport distance. It's about 100 meters. And for waste in general, coming in through container service Øtersøy, some of the waste has positive value and some of the waste has negative value. And all of the prices to the customers delivering plastic, well, delivering waste to the facility are affected by this because of the price range. So different kinds of waste have different prices. The ones that are of positive value are the recyclables. The metals, high quality sorted material, certain oils and chemicals, batteries. And the negative value is the non-recyclable waste. It's the mixed waste, it's wood for incineration, it's soil and concrete going to landfill, and it's low quality plastics. And the prices for this also vary. The prices are within a certain price range and they follow the market prices. So the prices are not fixed. They follow the market prices of where we can deliver this waste. So waste for incineration, creating energy and warmth are, of course, it has a negative value, but it has a smaller negative value in wintertime when we need warmth and energy. So we have some seasonal changes and we have some changes following the international conjunctures of maybe the oil price, for example. The prices of plastics waste drops as the oil price drops. So these are international changes that also affect our local prices. Now we come over to the exciting part, because this is what we do with recycling. So this is our production machine. We have been recycling about 2,500 tons of HDPE and PP since the startup in 2017. We are quite new at this, but nobody else in Norway is recycling this waste in the amounts that we are doing. So there's been quite a few hiccups and children's diseases in the first couple of years, and we've learned a lot, and we are slowly but steady increasing the volume that we are recycling. And what we produce is the granules that you see here. The indicators of what kind of value this plastic has is influenced by a lot of measures. We recycle mainly HDPE, high density polyethylene, and polypropylene from fish farming cages and ropes. As you see here, the granules are dark green, and that is from green ropes. So the color does not change much within the recycling process. So we can very clearly see what goes in the machine comes out. So if we put shit in, we will get shit out. That's a very basic way of thinking and of doing this. We need to do our processing in a way that makes the plastics as high a quality as possible before it goes into the recycling machine. Because the recycling machine is consisting of shredding, melting, and filters. But we don't add anything to it yet. In the future we will, but right now we are recycling in its purest form so we are not adding anything within the process. So what comes in with the plastics will, for the most part, also be a part of the new plastics, of the recycled material that we produce. So the value comes from the polymer content. What kind of polymer is it? If I say that it's an high-density polyethylene, HDPE, there's a range of 1,000 different HDPE plastics that this could be. So keeping our material clean and within the categories of products that it's been before says a lot about the quality. It affects the mechanical properties, the density, the tensile properties, the viscosity. And the viscosity is very important because it has something to do with how it can be produced afterwards. If it's extruded in pipes or if it's injection molded, it has two different viscosities. So if the material is pipes in its first life, it's also suited to become extruded pipes in its next life. And mixing extruded products with injection molded products will, of course, become a mix of the viscosity. I saw something popping up in the chat. Okay, not a question. So also pollution follows the plastics. If there's particles in it, sand, salt, if there's any unwanted chemicals or polymers, if we get, say, a PVC on the size of a fist, a PVC part in the size of a fist, we will have a complete shutdown of the line. We will fill the production hall with toxic gas, and we will need to use a day of cleaning the line afterwards. So it's very, very important. And this PVC material can be black pipes and look exactly like the black pipes that we use for the HDPE. So it's very important to keep the sorting very, very strict. The color, of course, is a part of the value. If a customer wants to produce something yellow, they don't want purple granules. The design part of which products this will become in the next round is also affected by the color. The tracking information is very important because that will tell us something about what has been impacting these plastics when it's been used. If the plastics has been lying in the ocean for 15 years and then taken up by us, it will contain some salt, it will have some UV damage, it might have some carbon and bio-based pollution from shells and growth. And of course, also the production volume over time is very important for setting the price. If our customers want 800 tons of plastics a year, then we need to deliver 800 tons of plastics a year. That is a consistent quality over time. So then we need to go figure out where is 800 tons of the exact plastics that our customer wants. So everything in our production is affecting the price and the circularity of these materials. And also the immaterial value that is not affected by the material properties, but with the tracking and with the documentation is also part of the value that we see in this material. We, because we are two very closely linked companies working with this, we also have the tracking of where it was processed, how much came from the different, from the separate customers, and then we can report back. And the impact of this for the industry is quite important. to give them numbers back to use in their environmental reports, in their quality management. It has a value for our customers. So the life cycle analysis comparing CO2 equivalents and crude oil is something that we are getting better at. We are mapping these values for ourselves. We've done a quite extensive life cycle analysis for the plastics that we produce so that we can give correct numbers back to our customers. That means that a lot of things can be done with our plastics. As you see here, we have a rainbow of possibilities, lots of colors and nice plastics. Some of them are very successful, some of them are not. The one you can see with like a yellowish brown color here is from polystyrene, EPS. Our machine is not built for that, but we did a test anyways to check if it was recyclable at our facility. It was, but as you can see, the color is not consistent. It's dark in some spots and it's light in some spots, and that says that the quality is not homogeneous and good for production. But a lot of our products are. So we see an increasing amount of good products coming from our plastics, both in Norway and abroad. So if any of you eat from green trays at McDonald's in Norway, Sweden, I think also soon Denmark and Finland, these have been recycled at our facility. That is ropes from aquaculture and fishery industry. So that's, I'm very happy to see that. And that means a lot to us because then we know that our plastics can be used in consumer products that are used by single consumers, and also in businesses, industrial purposes, like the product done on the left side that is for securing tunnels in Norway, and also a lot of the pipe material is, of course, going into new pipes. So going forward, we have a lot to do with our research and development. We have our own research and development projects. We have big budgets of expanding our facility, but most importantly, right now we are establishing a lab, a quality documentation lab, so that we can monitor our production very closely. So that we don't have to send all our tests to Trondheim or Oslo by mail, but we can actually monitor our production at our own facility. We have just hired a laboratory manager, so I'm really looking forward for her to give this more of yes, to give our polymer knowledge a lift. So my last slide is generally about circular economy and the fact that the value of this waste is not only counted in money. The value of this waste is also counted in environmental documentation. It's valued in branding. We see that the businesses that are serious about their environmental profile are getting a lot of traction. And also for us, it's very, very important that nothing is lost in this circle. So the certified downstream options are also very important for us. If we collect plastics and use some of it, and then some of it has that we downstream that we cannot control, that would be very very bad for us. It's very important for us to control our receivers, both other recycling companies and our customers, to know that the plastics are used in new products and recycled, that they are not disappearing into the unknown of landfills and energy recycling. So we try to keep a close look on that, and also the value in pricing is also telling a lot about that, because if a customer of ours were to buy material and not use it for new products, they would not be willing to pay for it in the way that they are. So we are very happy to have a big network of customers, both an increasing number in Norway, but mostly within the European system. So I see that there's been something coming in the chat. I will start there, and then also I think there's several more questions.
Hi, Helene. I'll happily read out the questions, and then they're preserved for the chat, if you're happy to do it that way. Sorry, they're preserved for the recording. There's a question that says, how do you handle contamination of the plastics you recycle, and how often can you recycle already recycled plastics, such as EPS?
Yeah, okay. So the impurities and the pollution within the plastic is a problem. We try to map this, and right now we are recycling the types and volumes of plastics that are the purest. We have our pilot line of production does not have a washing system, but we have ordered a washing system that is in production right now, so that we will be able to remove some pollution from that can be sand, gravel, fats, metals. Yes, particle contamination. Chemical contamination is more difficult, so we don't have any good solutions for that yet. But we are looking into that, and that is one of the things that we are hoping to get more hold of when we have our quality assurance lab up and running soon. Recycling already recycled material is not something that we've done yet. As I said in the slide with the different kinds of colored granules, we've done a production test from EPS, but we haven't started recycling that in big volumes. We are focusing on polyethylene and polypropylene at the moment. But we are thinking and planning that over time, when recycled material come in for a second round of recycling, that we will have to mix it with material that has not been recycled yet. So that will be a mix and also with a quality assurance lab, we will be able to test the content of the plastics with which additives are still in the plastics and which additives that we should add, because there are some, well, they call it antioxidants, and yes, could be a lot of different additives that we can add over time. But right now we are not, we haven't come that far within this process.
Thanks, Helene. There's a question from Refilway that says, hi, Helene, thank you for the interesting talk. I'm just wondering how much the recycling machine costs and how much revenue do you make monthly?
Okay, so the machine that we have now, it costed about, I think the investment was about around €1 million. That's, yeah, I don't remember the currency at that moment, but about €1 million. And the revenue we get from that is in monthly. Oh, that's a difficult question. We don't have full capacity production right now. If we were to run it 24/7, it would be something else. But right now we have batch production, so the revenue monthly is very variable. But we are able to produce 12 tons per 24 hours, 500 kilos per hour. And we make, well, the revenue from that is about the price of the granules are between 8 and 10 Norwegian kroner, around €1, and depending on currency. Yes, per kilo. So we have about 8 to 10 kroner per kilo, and 500 kilos per hour. So I guess some of you are quicker at maths than me.
Thank you, Helene. There's a question from Annaby that says, I'm curious to know how Norway is getting food contact approval for its PP ropes and for the McDonald's trays.
Yeah, well, they are not food contact approved from us. So I have actually no idea how McDonald's have done their process after we've sent them our material. I am not sure that the trays are food contact approved. I know that they use a paper layer on top, and they also pack their foods on top of the tray. So I guess that's the workaround, but I am not sure.
Thanks, Helene. I don't see any more questions in the chat, but I just have one question about the slide that you showed with all the granules. I know you mentioned that the yellow one didn't have a homogeneous color. Would it not be possible to kind of melt that down and dye it to get a consistent color, or is that just not economically viable with the added sort of processing and costs involved?
Yes, of course, it's possible to add color, and some of our customers do. But in this case, with the EPS, the color change is not from a color variety in the product. It's due to the production not being optimal. So I think that the darkest part are actually burnt. I guess that they have been run on different kinds of temperature, and some of the batch is burnt or has some other chemical reaction within it. So the color is not telling. It would, of course, be possible to color the material for it to look homogeneous, but in this case, the color is just a sign of not very good production process, and probably quite low quality.
Thanks, Helene. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you, Helene. This is great. And just for the South African amongst us, as you all know, Norwegian is a pretty big producer of farmed salmon, and an average location to produce salmon has roughly 400 tons of plastic involved in the ocean to produce the salmon. So what Helene alluded to is a massive sort of waste stream, if you will. And just a food for thought, the fish are fed through tubes, and each of an average fish farm has several kilometers of tubes that are used to feed the fish. The upside is that the fish is clever enough to eat the pellets of food and not the fractions of microplastics that gets worn off inside of those tubes. So each one of these tubes lasts roughly 12 months, and then it gets replaced and then ground up, as Helene just described. I just want to illustrate the differences between the two countries in terms of what the waste flows consist of. And also, I'm embarrassed to acknowledge what Helene just said, that we tend to put to landfill 18,000 tons of hydrocarbons that comes from the oil that we all make a good living out of pumping out of the North Sea. So there are quite a few dilemmas. But again, the salmon is clever enough to know what to eat and what not to eat.
Absolutely, and this industry is also tackling these challenges with microplastics and plastic pollution and other kinds of biological pollution from the production of salmon. So there's a lot of challenges, and they are facing them gradually. We don't think that they've been focusing enough on plastics yet, but that's from my point of view. But we
that's
see
that's what the evidence also shows, Helene. So it's not our
yes,
personal
absolutely.
opinion only.
And when we see some changes, because the fish farming tubes have been run on air pressure. So they are blowing out pellets of food with air pressure. But now we see quite a few changing from air pressure to water flow, and that is not wearing that much on the plastics. They are preventing the pellets from grinding on the plastics when they are putting the pellets in water and then running it through the pipes. So they are also changing their production over time in a better way.
And the upside to the fish farming, I don't mean to beat on them, but I mean the fish farmers, their concern is not the pollution that occurs if one of these feed pipes break, but it is actually the loss of revenue that they immediately incur when the fish doesn't get the maximum amount of feed that it can possibly consume. So their loss is loss of weight of the products that they eventually want to sell, more so than the concern of materials or anything else. So it's a great upside to them, what Helene just is saying, that by reducing the wear and tear on the inside of the feeding tubes, that improves their business, and it also reduces plastic waste. So that's a little win-win from that side. Thank you, Helene.
Thank you for listening.